Hey there gamers, Game Blitz here with the 109 G2 review. So the 109 G2 is a rank 3 German plane sitting at a BR of 4.3 at the moment. So that means that the lowest BR you will face is 3.3 while the highest will be 5.3. So your threats are going to be at the 5.3 range, where those would be LF Mark 9s, Spitfire Mark 16s, P-51s, and Russian Yaks and LAs. So the plane itself is arguably one of the best planes in the game. Definitely one of the best planes tier for tier in the game. It has that great combination of a perfect engine coupled with very good energy retention, performance, and reasonable agility. So to get to the 109 G2, you have to research down the 109 line. You have the HE-51s as a reserve plane, and unfortunately how Gaijin works, you have to research 6 planes in Tier 2 and Tier 1, and after that you start researching the 109 F4, which is the precursor to the 109 G2. All the 109 lines share a very similar trait in that they're energy fighters, and as the line progresses down from now the B1 down to the E series, down to the early F series, to the later F series, and then to the G2, you get more and more energy fighting with a better and better engine, and then also you trade that with that energy performance. That trade comes in where you lose more and more agility until finally you reach the G2. So this plane itself, it can climb to around 700 meters within the first 5 to 6 minutes of a battle. You can maintain a climb at 20 degrees that whole time, and its WEP lasts much longer than its precursor, the 109 F4, which has been nerfed severely, meaning that it unfortunately overheats much quicker. But this one, on a temperate climate such as Ruhr, Sicily, maps are basically not winter maps, you can WEP up to around 3K before the engine starts overheating. But the good thing is, since this is a 109, its engine, once you cut off the weapon and run at 100%, its engine will cool down about from, we'll say, it starts counting down at 124 degrees Celsius. It takes about 20 seconds to get down to 115, I believe, is the amber range. And you can run that engine up from redlining down to amber over and over again, and the plane will not care. By this point, the 109s are going to start following a very similar line in armament-wise. It's armed with 2 7.92mm machine guns, which don't do much damage, but they are backups. They're kind of just the extra little bit of damage. But the big thing is it's now armed with a 151 20mm cannon, the same cannon that's armed in the F4. So you'll be familiar with this armament because it's armed in the nose the exact same as an F4. You can upgrade this thing to have an additional 2 20mm gun pods, which is much better than the F4, which comparably has now 2 151 15mm gun pods. Even though the F4 has no historical record of mounting 15mm gun pods, Gaijin insisted on it because the plane was too good. This plane, luckily, does keep those 20mm gun pods, which means it is a force to be reckoned with the gun pods. I personally love using the gun pods. I feel that the trade-offs of a little bit of climb rate, a little bit of maneuverability is well worth the trade for the extra 2 cannons to put on target. Granted, they are wing mountain cannons with nose mountain cannons. I have personally been able to train well using these and have found this spread of centerline and wing line cannons is perfect. But of course, your experience may vary. But overall, it's very good. It jumps the burst kilogram mass to 4.53 kilograms, which is very good. It shreds targets very quickly. The plane itself is okay in maneuverability and roll rate. Nothing terribly stands out with it. It's not a Focke-Wulf with rolling, but it's not as slow as a Spitfire per se. It can roll reasonably well, and you can use rolling to your advantage. Yaw, it's okay in rolling. Honestly, most players in realistic battle don't really focus on the yaw. Its rudder is not an uncontrollable thing, such as the Focke-Wulf A4, which if you've flown that thing, you know it takes about a second for that rudder to settle down, because of how Instructor works. The 109 G2 does not have that problem. Elevators. The plane, like I said, is maneuverable, but it's not a turn fighter. It does not like to be turning. The planes that you would be able to turn with and win in a sustained turn fight would be predominantly the American planes. Even then, this plane, turning-wise, can match a P-51 in a sustained turn. Over time, I think the 109 would be able to outturn the P-51 due to its energy retention, and with combat flaps, the 109 still would be able to turn with inside the P-51. It'll be a very long process, as they're both equally matched in that regard. But the 109 again can roll a little bit better than P-51, so you'll be able to use that to get your advantage. And also, the engines has much better acceleration. Other planes that could turn within is the P-47. That's about the main ones. If you can imagine planes around that range that turn like a P-47 do, then you can know this plane is not predominantly turning. That means its only other alternatives are energy fighting and boom zoom, but thank God for that, this plane does it amazingly. The energy fighting potential of this plane is what makes this plane one of the best planes at 4.3 BR at rank 3 in this game. That's why you see most people flying the G2 as compared to other planes such as the F4, because of this engine. So that's enough of talking about the 109 G2. Let's actually go into some replays I have. I have one replay with gun pods and one replay without gun pods, so I could show you both forms you could take this plane out of. So for the first match, we're here in Sicily with the gun pods, and I've climbed up to over 6K right by where the spotters are. And I've noticed this XP50 going down, but I dived down noticing the Spitfire instead. So I put the energy advantage to work. Unfortunately, the Spitfire also splits S. I plant the shot. I get hits, but nothing too good. Just couldn't pull the lead on that guy. So that's when I put the other best advantage to this plane, the energy potential of it, and just pull straight up out of his shots. Dodging his shots as he goes, because the way his bonos are working now, they can one-shot you even from over a kilometer away for reasons beyond my knowledge. He rolls back over, dodging a friendly. I roll back onto him, as he's going to try to go after the friendly, who's also energy fighting him, but he sees me, tries to avoid me, and rips. And that is something that's very important about the G2. It, unlike other planes, does not actually have a rip speed through high G turns. Its max speed where you start ripping is around 850 kph, but you don't have to worry about pulling tight turns at any speed with this plane because its wings will stay on. So I'm now looking around, and as I'm going through the clouds, unfortunately the replay system doesn't pick this up, but I did notice a P-51 right to my wing. I loop over, and there he is. I also now know, because this 109's been calling out, that a lot of people are near him. So that's why I'm heading over this way and diving down, because most of the fight's now low. And I don't realize, actually, at this point, how many are down there. But there is about the majority of the team. Now we saw one plane over there, now we see another P-47 and another P-51 joining in the fight. It's worth noting, these P-51s are the Cannon ones, not the later D models. So this Corsair starts climbing up to me, and he has no chance. He's got no chance whatsoever to match me. Even if he had energy to reach my altitude, I had the speed to just pull out of it. So I dive, and that is gun pods for you. That was a short burst, ripped into pieces. My aim is not perfect there, but it was relatively spot on. Very little ammo wasted there. Now the Spitfire saw me, comes up, tries to get a little greedy. Tracking P-47, there's another Spitfire. So, big thing with this plane is since it's not a dogfighter, you gotta really pick your targets, you gotta think. That's how energy fighting works. So I target this Spitfire instead because I feel he's the bigger threat. Line up the shot. He's a Mark 5B trap. Quick burst, he's gone. P-47 cart's coming in. Now remember what I said, this is actually one of the few planes I can reliably outturn, but I don't want to use turning as a resort. I want to, mostly because of the fact that there's other bogeys near me. If I was to turn now, I would beat the P-47 in the turn, but everyone else is around me, they would probably get the shots on me. Now here's something that really intrigued me. I I see that both these guys, well, the P-47 more of has speed that he could probably catch up with me. So my thinking is I'm just going to try to build up some speed, out-climb him, because I know I can out-climb him, and just try to pull some distance on him. But the enemy team seems to kind of throw the game away here. For some reason whatsoever, the P-47 levels off, does not even acknowledge my existence by this point. So I see the Mustang's actually a little bit behind, so I'm going to go for tail on Charlie, so my tail is always clear. Shred the P-51 immediately, and the P-47 is going after the same 109 that called for his help earlier. So I shred him apart. Double strike, 4 kills already. You can see how the gun pods really do make a difference. You'll definitely see in the next replay. But how quickly I'm able to shred this guy apart, and that 109 is able to quickly get a head-on. That's the other thing with this plane. Although head-ons are a last resort, you can be guaranteed that since you have 3 cans opposed to 1, you can have a better chance of hitting. Now the last guy on the enemy team is a Spitfire, and I don't want to head on him because I'm not sure what type of Spitfire it is. And it turns out to be a 5C. So definitely the right move there. 4 cannons for Hispanos would never have been a smart move. And now I'm just playing bait. I see this guy's coming after me and then the rest of my team's all around me. So I'm playing bait and the Spitfire breaks off of me and I notice that. So I get a little greedy here. Seeing, oh, okay, maybe I can get the kill. Can he? So maneuvering onto his tail. Just kind of turn and put a shot there. I was, again, by this point, not speculating I would get the kill, but then all of a sudden I get this position and rip him a new one. So that was 5 kills in the G2 with gun pods. So for the second replay, we're also still here on Sicily. I see this map a lot recently. I do enjoy it though. I climb up to now 7K and I see a Typhoon all the way over to the side. Again, I'm right by the friendly spotters and the enemy spotters, because this is where the fight usually happens at high altitude. So my thinking here is this Typhoon could have the energy just to reach up to me and hit me. I'm sure he can't fully get up to my altitude, but it's a Typhoon, and Typhoons have been known to have unhistorical flight models. But he doesn't seem to actually notice me. So I go up here. Now again, as I've said, climbing up here, I have not really noticed much of a difference with or without gun pods. The only time you notice a difference is when you're in this type of position. I see him, I pull the shots, and I get a lucky fire there. Honestly, gun pods would have ripped him apart right there. If I didn't have a fire there, he would have flown away, no problem. So, now I see a Spitfire up here. He seems to be going after AI again, because I really don't know why their players just like to go after AI. But he sees me instead, so he starts turning towards me. Oh, never mind, sorry. He does not see me, he's just flying off. So I'm just tracking this guy. I see how he's going after the friendly 109. Apparently that was his target. And just, again, maintaining situational awareness for this fight. And what I'm doing here is actually just looking at what type of skill level the last 2 guys are that have no score is. See if they're actually up high or if they're somewhere else. But anyway, in that time, the Spitfire has managed to damage and set afire that 109. Not happy about that, so I'm going to go get a little bit of revenge. He starts making a turn. And I track him, that's when he makes his mistake. He sets him up perfectly for me. But I couldn't kill him. And that is the big thing with gun pods. Gun pods, that could have been almost a guaranteed kill. Unless, you know, RNG came in and decided, you know what, hit detection's not going to work. But most of the time, it would have been a kill. With the single 20 mil, you can't guarantee that. You only have 1 20 mil at a slower rate of fire. Whereas with 3 20 mils, you have a lot of them. They can be more kilograms per second. So, again, track him in turn. Fire the lead shot. Nothing. Pull up. Don't want to really be caught with low energy, low speed. And he is actually preoccupied with a couple other things. And he finally sees me, but he's bled too much energy. He's never going to reach me by this point. And someone else now starts going after him, taking advantage of the fact that I've been throwing him to a stall. He dodges that, so loop right on over. And again, if you notice, the rudder does not really fight you at all. This plane is very stable in the dogfight. And this is a very good position for a dive. Pull the lead. And I get the pilot snipe. Again, the cannons didn't really rip them apart. The cannons just destroyed the pilot. So, I'm not going to pretend like these shots were all not lucky, but they kind of... I'm not a fan of the single 20 mil. So now, tracking this B-25, he's the nearest guy, so it's better get him. Start firing my 7.7 just to get some lead and damage. And I just pepper him, and I got his wing off, which I was surprised when I had that happen, because I've fought against B-25s with a single 20 mil before, and it just never ended well. I did not like it. But I got a lucky connection in the wing, destroyed him. So, 2 more guys over here, P-47 and PBJ. I believe they're the last ones left on the enemy team by this point. Both ground pounding, which is something the P-47 should not be doing that. The PBJ obviously should be. So my target is going to be the P-47 because even though he's low and low energy, he's still a fighter. He's the bigger threat. But my teammates also have the same idea. So we're all, actually, me and a couple other guys also going after this guy. Now as I'm tracking him, pulling the lead. But out of nowhere, Focke-Wulf comes in and takes the kill. That was a shame, but there's still a PBJ in the air, so maybe we can get this guy. And just pull in the lead, and this does not look like to be that good of a shot, but I created his rudder. That could be a kill. Could be if he just wants to hit the ground without taking much damage, and thank you very much. So again, out of the 4 kills I've got here, only one of them was really me destroying the plane with the 20 mils. The PBJ, I critted him, and it was lucky he was at low altitude that he crashed into the ground. The other 2 were both lucky shots to pilot snipe out of fire. So that's it for this match. It was an interesting match. It was a decent match for a 20 mil gun pod. But let's go see the results. So here's the results. 4 kills for that match. Couple medals. You look at the team list, still top of the team. Got multi-strike, ground force rescuer, professional, shadow streak, wind streaks, final blow. Just usual standard medals. So, the 109 G2, it's a very good and enjoyable plane. I definitely recommend the plane. It's one of my favorites in the game. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Do click the like button down below and subscribe to the channel for more. I'll see you in the skies.